Hey YouTube, Nova Viper here. Oh, shut this off. Just out of the shower, I got fucking beard hairs in my mouth. Smoking my Eric Stuckeby, 1931. No, I don't remember. Can't remember that last number. Cannot remember. It's in the stupid spot. 31, yeah, 1931. Great pipe, love it. And I'm smoking some plum pudding. Little break from the pipe, about 10 days or so. I'm finding it wasn't quite doing it for me. It was just smoking it too much. I was going at least a bowl a day. Like every day I'd have at least one bowl, sometimes two. And I'm noticing at night I was laying on the couch and I have a great big giant fan in my living room window to suck all the air out, and it goes right out the window. So I was doing that for a week or two, and then I noticed my house smelled like a dirty old ashtray. So I put plastic bags all over my pipes, and oh my god, it was disgusting. I can't stand that. It takes forever to get it out of your, it's in the curtains. I'm gonna have to wash my curtains and everything. But it just went right out the window, all the smoke. And even with that great big fan in my window, it was stinking up my house. And it wasn't a nice smell. It wasn't it didn't smell like, room note or tobacco or anything. It smelled like a dirty old wet ashtray or an old wet cigarette butt. So I just took a break from the pipe for a while. Did some videos. Didn't do any videos. And yesterday was my first bowl in a long time, and I had some Maltese Falcon yesterday. And it's like, oh man, I really enjoyed it. Just a little bowl. So today I'm doing some plum pudding and a nice big black ass coffee here. I've been keeping my eye on all the hurricanes going on in the Atlantic, man. That's crazy. Right now, as I'm doing this one, Irma's just off of Cuba heading for Florida, and looks like a bad one. A couple of weeks ago there was Harvey hit Texas, man. That was brutal. Couldn't believe it. And then there's another one, Jose or whatever it's called. Josie, I don't know. That's the one that we're kind of keeping our eye on, that one where I live in Nova Scotia. We don't we'll get hit with a hurricane maybe once every, it all depends, right? We'll get them, I don't know, every couple of years we'll get hit with one, but they're not nowhere near as intense as the ones they get down south. The hardest hurricane that ever hit here was a Category 2, and that just completely fucked the city for weeks. We're on places were without power for a couple of weeks. We lost 75% of our trees. Well, we got a big park that lost 75% of the trees, but there's some really old, 100, 200-year-old trees that got knocked over. Quite a few of them in the city. Couldn't get through the streets. They had to call the National Guard. And that was just a Category 2. And when you're this far north, when they travel down south, they go really slow, just a few miles an hour. Up here, I think it went past it at like 20, 30 miles an hour, so it didn't last long, but it did a lot of damage. Mostly from uprooted trees, knocking down power lines and blocking the streets and landing on your house. Our trees aren't used to those types of winds, so a lot of trees have shallow root systems up here. It's natural selection. So down south where you get a lot more hurricanes, a lot stronger winds. So the trees down there are a lot more secure in the ground. They have, all the trees that have shallow root systems have already been uprooted. So the trees that are left down there have better root systems, which they can still snap and get knocked over though. But what really pisses me off is the way the news reports it. I can't believe that. That pisses me right off. And it's not just American news. Canadian news does exactly the same thing. They use fear. Like even where we are up here in Canada, this hurricane's not going to come anywhere near us. There's a possibility that Jose might, but it doesn't look very plausible. Anything's possible though. However, on our news and on our weather, and it's just, they want you to be in fear. So they'll say, they put warnings and flash red, and they'll show pictures of the devastation down south. And then they'll say, like this hurricane that's out in the Atlantic, that's a week away, that's, the models are showing that it's not going to come anywhere near us. But they want everybody to be fearful. So they're saying, this storm could be another, Irma or another Harvey. This storm could be, please, and they're trying to make you fearful. Anything's possible, could. This storm could hit you. It has the potential to do this, but, the way they reported it's bullshit. I could, technically, this could get abducted by aliens, So then everybody freaks out. And then all the people on my Facebook, this is funny, there's a woman on my Facebook, and she posted a link about news about a hurricane. And of course it was over-exaggerated, and it was absolutely ridiculous. They said this hurricane is the size of Texas, or this hurricane is the size of the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so the storm's this big, but the hurricane force winds are only about this wide. So they manipulate things. It's how they report things to make you. They want you to be fearful. So this woman on my Facebook says she posted a link it said something about this storm could be Category 6, which is impossible because they only go to 5. And when she posted it, she said, I don't know if this is true or not. I didn't look into it, so don't shoot the messenger. And it's like, well, then why did you post it? What the fuck's wrong with you? I was watching a news clip online of a woman who was being interviewed during the last hurricane that hit Texas, Harvey. And they're in a shelter. And the woman says, you guys should be ashamed of yourself. Here you are, trying to interview people at their worst, and she's cursing and going on. People lost everything, and you got that fucking microphone in my face. And she goes, you still got that microphone in my face, And she was upset. People say, well, if she was upset, didn't want to be interviewed, why did she stand there? And I thought about it, and if that was me, and I'm in a shelter, and I see all these people, newscasters going around, interviewing people at their worst just for ratings, that would piss me the fuck off. She handled it way better than I did. I'd probably take that microphone and punch her right in the fucking throat with it. You be ashamed of yourself. Should be fucking helping people, not sitting there and, trying to make the worst out of make a bad situation look even worse than it is just for ratings and money. It's a crock of shit. Hate the fucking news. So anyway, that's what's going on. We're kind of, everybody around here is just being cautious, and everybody along the East Coast, North America, has the potential to get hit with one of these, or even down south, in Mexico, and the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. Like, educate yourself. Remember one time, I don't know if I told this story, there was friends of the family. Well, friends in the neighborhood. We all grew up in the same neighborhood, and we all hung out together. So, at least there was a family. There were 6 of them, 6 kids, and a couple were, all different ages. There was like one younger than me, and one older than me, a whole bunch older than me. So, they had 6 kids. So, one of the women was older than me. She had a son. And I remember when she was pregnant, and I remember when she had the baby, and we used to hold the baby and take him down to the mall and walk him and babysit him. You know what I mean? So everybody helped raise this kid because she lived with her parents. She got pregnant, and her husband didn't work out, so she stayed with her parents. That's kind of what people did. So anyway, this, he was growing up. He was 24 years old, and he was coming back from the tavern and saw this guy beating on his girlfriend. So him and his buddy went over to help. So the guy pulls out a knife and stabs him, and he dies. He got killed trying to do the right thing. So the next day in the newspaper, it said that he got murdered, and it was in a part of the neighborhood. It wasn't kind of a bad part of town, I guess you could say. There was a lot of crime and drugs and shit like that, and any violence that happens like that's usually targeted. So if there was any kind of like fights or gun violence, it was always targeted. It wasn't random. So anyway, so this kid goes to break up a fight between a guy and a girl, and they were only young. Apparently the guy who was fighting this girl was 18 years old. So this guy that I helped raise practically, kind of thing, I remember him from a baby when he was in his mother's womb, gets stabbed, tried to do the right thing, and died right there in the street. So the newspaper said that he got murdered, that he was known to police, and drugs have not been ruled out. So all anybody's talking about is that it all had to do with drugs. He was bad and up to no good, and involved with all kinds of crime and shit. And it's absolute bullshit. And the name of the paper, I won't read it. I want nothing to do with them. It's the Chronicle Herald. They're a bunch of fucking cocksuckers. That really pissed me off. Okay, everybody's known to police. I'm known to police. You're known to police. Everybody is known to police. And drugs weren't ruled out. Drugs have not been ruled out. Neither has alien abduction or demonic possession or anything like that. So, but people just see drugs, known to police, and make their own assumptions. And he was a big kid, right? He was tall. He was over 6 feet, and they called him the Gentle Giant. So here they are portraying him to be some kind of fucking terrible person. It really pissed me off. Boy, I like to do these videos. I come on to do a video, don't know what I'm going to talk about, and look what it turns into. Anyway, hurricane season's upon us, I guess, so everybody stay safe down there. Stay informed, but don't get misinformed from the bullshit from the news. Sit back and enjoy this. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.